Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, and it's 7 a.m., of course, and welcome to Good Day. I want to give a special good morning to those of you that stayed up to watch the entire World Series last night. I did not watch any of the game. I don't think I really needed to, because just waking up and reading my Facebook newsfeed this morning, I feel like I got the recap of the entire game. So congratulations to the Chicago Cubs for breaking their losing streak. And inspired by that, my topic today that I want to talk about is curses or cursing. So today we're going to talk about cursing or curses. Again, in honor of the Chicago Cubs breaking their curse. And a little background on that, by the way, which I am not a Chicago Cubs fan. I will follow the underdog till the day that I die. So I guess kind of in a way I am at the moment. But the story behind it's actually kind of funny. There's something called the curse of the Billy Goat. And it's a curse that this guy, William Sianis, who owned a tavern named the Billy Goat Tavern in 1945. Apparently he had a pet goat named Murphy who he liked to take to the Chicago Cubs games. And apparently he was annoying everybody that he was sitting around because his goat stunk so bad that he got kicked out of the game. So as he was being ushered out, the old curmudgeon said, "Them Cubs ain't gonna win no more." So after that point, unfortunately, they had not. So that's the that's the history behind the curse of the Billy Goat. Was Mr. William Sianis getting kicked out of Wrigley Field and because his goat stunk too bad. So anyway, a little piece of useless knowledge to take up some space in your brain this morning. So anyway, back to curses. I think that we all too often put curses on ourselves, whether we realize it, whether we don't. I think a lot of times we do it subconsciously, or just sort of out of a feeling of defeat, a feeling of just, you know what, screw it. You know, I'm trying, I've tried, and it's not working, so, you know, whatever. I must be jinxed, or I'll never, or it's just not working, you're going to throw up your hands and quit. So in a way, that's kind of putting a curse on yourself. There's also the other definition of cursing, which those of you that know me know I'm very good at. I do curse like a trucker sometimes. I think in my last feed that I talked about glitter, I think I said the word shit 7 times. So, you know, those of you that follow me know that that is a characteristic of your dear friend Heidi. But I do believe that a extremely well executed expletive in the properly placed scenario can be very beneficial and healthy, and you know, dropping a good F-bomb somewhere for punctuation, you know, whatever. If it works for you, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So anyway, so that is a definition of cursing that is not to be ignored. But going back to self-curses and self-cursing, I've mentioned this before. I have in the past been guilty of future fucking myself by looking ahead at something that I was going to have to endure, deal with, approach, do, whatever, and looking at 17 different ways that it could possibly go and finding a solution for every single one of them, whether they happened or not, and they usually didn't. And I ended up spending a tremendous amount of time and energy and stress and anxiety worrying about stuff that really was completely unapplicable to the ultimate outcome. So that is definitely a way that I had historically cursed myself, for sure, because usually the scenarios that I was preparing myself for were the worst possible scenarios. And, you know, that's not to say don't be prepared. don't look ahead to, possible situations. But for me, it was definitely something that was a hindrance to my positive thinking and my positive self-talk, and me just really being productive in making sure that I was living in the now, living in the right now, enjoying the moment, and just being realistic about what I really needed to worry about, because I was worrying about and consumed with things that I couldn't control. I absolutely couldn't control. So I've learned to filter and limit my energies that I spend on worrying about things that I can't control. Now, that said, I told you this before and I'll tell you again, I am far from perfect at that. But I think for us, the biggest first step is just being conscious, being self-aware, being aware of the thoughts that we have that can be self-sabotaging. And cursing ourselves or putting a curse on ourselves can be absolutely synonymous with self-sabotage. So let's talk about self-sabotage. There's a quote that I love about self-sabotage that a woman by the name of Alice Cornyn Selby said. And if you don't know who Alice Cornyn Selby is, she, in April of 2002, she's an author and a driver. And in 2002, April, she jumped into a topless, open cockpit roadster car. And when I say open cockpit, I mean no doors, no roof, no windshields, no nothing, and rode from one coast to the other. Why? Just because she could. If you look into her, Google her, she's a phenomenal person and talks a lot about self-sabotage and, setting goals and achievements ahead of yourself and not getting in your own damn way. So check her out. She also lost over 100 pounds, and she's an advocate for, self-care and being healthy and weight loss. And she has also helped corporations with downsizing. I don't know if that philosophy comes from her weight loss or not. But anyway, her quote having to do with self-sabotage is when we say we want something and then go about making sure it doesn't happen. Ain't that the truth? Let's just read that again, because it rings so true for a perfect definition of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when we say we want something and then go about making sure it doesn't happen. Oh man, that really, really speaks to a lot of the way I used to behave. We say we really want to go to the gym and then we make excuses and we don't do things to help our situation, like put out your gym clothes, like make sure that it's washed and clean and you can find it. Make sure you have 2 socks and 2 shoes. With wearing this stupid boot for 2 weeks, I have single shoes all over my entire house. I have right shoes out the wazoo. Where my left shoes are, God only knows. So, you got to give yourself a fighting chance. And if, there's self-sabotage, but then there's also self-help. It is to help yourself do that kind of thing. So, a couple of things to think about when it comes to self-sabotage. One is focusing on the if-onlys. We say, well, if only I had finished college, if only I had more money, if only I had this, if only I had that. And that is really hard. It's really hard on yourself to think about all the things that you don't have or didn't do or can't have for whatever reason. We can't have everything. We know that we've been told that since we were kids. But sometimes we get so wrapped up in the if-onlys that it really handicaps us to appreciate the haves and also to help find things that we can get. So focusing on the if-onlys is really, really tough. Some of the things that we look at that are if-onlys are things that, again, we can't control. We can't control some of the things that we can lament not having. And what's the point of that? Just beating ourselves up and, again, focusing on the wrong thing. Focusing on negative. Focusing on the have-nots instead of the haves. So be aware of, you may not say the words if only, but we definitely do it. Man, do we do it. So focusing on the if onlys or anything synonymous with that is tough when it comes to avoiding self-sabotage. Being afraid of your thoughts. So many times I have thoughts of good things, like things that I could or should do or can do to step forward, move forward, inspire myself. And I just get in a rut because sometimes the things that I think about that I want to do or can do or should do are huge. And you know what? That's cool. Then the self-doubt comes in, or the excuses come in, or the, oh, I tried it before comes in. And the thought of going for or achieving or even dreaming about these wonderful, huge, fantastic things becomes completely overwhelming. Then again, going back to the future fucking, that's all part of it too. So being afraid of your thoughts, think boldly. What would you do today positively, what would you do today if there was absolutely no negative consequence? What would you do? What could you do? What could you imagine yourself doing? Just think about that for a second. What would you do or could you do or can you dream about doing today if there was no negative consequences to those actions? I can think of a whole bunch of things. And it kind of makes me feel like a little superhero. So grab onto that. Grab onto that mentality that, yeah, you know what, I can. And try not to let the potential negative consequences get in your way. And then allow you to slip again into that self-sabotage. Here's another one. Habitually starting tomorrow. Oh, baby. That's otherwise known as procrastinating in my book. Habitually starting tomorrow. So you've eaten a half a gallon of Tin Roof Sundae ice cream. Not talking about me. I have a friend that did that. So you've done that. And you say, well, tomorrow I'll do better. Or tomorrow, now I have to go to the gym to work that off. Well, who wants to go to the gym when you think of it that way as a punishment? And who's to say you have to wait until tomorrow? Because guess what? Tomorrow's a moving target. Because if you're anything like me, that part of tomorrow sometimes never comes. So we're doing stuff that's not really positive for ourselves. And then we're saying we're going to fix it at some fictional time down the road. And then, again, if you're anything like me, we really talk ourselves out of it constantly. And then we beat ourselves up. And then it's like, oh, you should have, you could have, and you didn't. And, it just goes into this huge cluster jam of nonsense and negativity and self-hatred. And man, it's awful. So habitually starting tomorrow. So who's to say, all right, so you ate that half a gallon of Tin Roof Sundae ice cream. All right, it's done. It's done. You made that mistake. I mean, geez Louise, I could look back over so many things over the last 20 years, 10 at least in my active addiction, that, man, I could really beat myself up over. And I do sometimes, but not for the purpose of being horrible to myself. It's important to remember mistakes that we made, but they're mistakes, they're in the past, they're in history. Learn from them, pick up, dust off, learn from the mistakes, and just make it better now. Don't say tomorrow, don't say Tuesday, because there's a whole lot of time between now and then. A, for it not to happen, and B, for us to just be really shitty to ourselves. So habitually starting tomorrow before it even happens and filling it with a whole bunch of crap that we didn't want to do today. What's going to make tomorrow great when you do that? So just be aware of that. Just something to be self-aware of. And inertia. Here's my final thing of today about self-sabotage is, man, sometimes we get some traction. It feels really good. And we get this inertia going and we're going, we're doing it, we're getting habits, we're starting, we're digging. And, for a minute, we just are feeling really good about ourselves. We're patting ourselves on the back and we're seeing results with whatever it is that we're doing. And, all too often we slip into working out with this, but maybe it's just changing your behavior with your kids. Maybe it's researching something. Maybe it's looking for that new job. Whatever it is, you're getting traction with it. You're doing what you know is most helpful for yourself and most productive. And it feels really good. And if you're anything like me, that's when you start going, oh shit, this thing's going really fast. How do I keep this up? How do I keep this up? I'm freaking myself out a little bit. When it's entirely going at the pace it's supposed to, it's fine. It just feels different. It feels different. It feels elevated. It feels accelerated. And there's a big part of me that I am retraining that for whatever reason, and that's for me and my therapist to figure out, but for whatever reason believes that I don't deserve good things. So when good things come my way, I self-sabotage. Relationships, relationships, man, I have self-sabotaged a lot in past relationships where either it's going really, really well and it's freaking me out and that stupid thing inside of me for whatever reason says I don't deserve this, or I see something that doesn't seem perfect, and going back to that perfect, so I take care of the situation before it comes and bites me. So I self-sabotage the relationship. So I end it before it ends me. So that was not exactly the greatest decisions to make, because potentially working through those bumpy areas could have made that relationship the most amazing and even stronger thing possible. But I bolted because it was too good and I didn't think I deserved that. That sucks. I mean, that sucks to look back on and realize. But from that, again, I take the experience, I take the lesson learned, and I apply it to the me that I am today. That's all I can do. I can't change anything in the past. So remember it, honor it. But, I have to not get into a rut about it or get stuck in it. Getting stuck in stuff is really easy to do, especially when we're talking about self-sabotage, and it parlays right into self-talk. Negative self-talk is something that I've worked a lot on as well. Negative self-talk is constant. And I told you guys before, some of the things that I used to say to myself is, God, if I heard somebody say to someone that I even liked as opposed to even loved, I would throat punch that person. And I was saying these things to myself regularly, all day, every day. So I've learned to, and I try to be more conscious of what I'm saying to myself inside my head, because your subconscious, my friend Mike taught me this, your subconscious is really what's driving the boat, driving the bus, driving whatever, driving your life, driving your thoughts, driving your energy, your everything. Your subconscious is the thing that's in charge. Your conscious or your ego is a slave to everything else, including your subconscious. So sometimes it really takes reprogramming that subconscious to be the most effective, and just really listening to what's going on in there. And there's lots of books about and readings about retraining your subconscious that I've just started tapping into, and it's some pretty amazing stuff. Our brain, we can reprogram our brain. It's not easy, but it's possible. So just be careful about your self-talk. And I say that to myself as much as I say it to you. That is what I kind of wanted to put into your brains today about cursing. So anytime you curse today, think of me. Because I probably am too at some point. And it's not always negative stuff. Sometimes it's good to just say good hell yeah. Hell yeah! So celebrate your hell yes today. And again, sprinkle some of that glitter around. Some of that, that you're really beautiful. Things that you possess, share that with other people that are having trouble finding their glitter today. Be receptive to other people's glitter. Be careful about your self-talk. Be kind. And have an awesome, awesome Thursday. I can't believe it's November already. Don't tell me how many days until Christmas or I will never speak to you again. But anyway, let's not get too far into that. Have an awesome day. Empower yourself, be positive, love yourself, because you know what? I love you guys. Have an awesome day.